Now we're going to get into the weeds of SEQR. SEQR is the New York environmental law. It's called the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Sometimes they call it SEQR. They put an A on the end. The State Environmental Quality Review Act. So I had to make this graph because none of the charts that were out there were right. So I had to make this. So what's going on here? How can we color this in a way that will help us maybe navigate this a little bit better, like what's going on? So where this all starts is the question over here at the beginning. Is this action subject to SEQR? The DEC did that somewhere in 2018, 2019. This came before them, and they asked the question, is this subject to SEQR? And they said, yeah, but it's pretty trivial. We think it's not quite so trivial that it's a Type 2. Type 2 actions are so extremely trivial. It's something. So let's call it an unlisted action. And let's just do the short form, and we'll do an uncoordinated review, which means no coordinated review happened at all. An uncoordinated review means no review. That's what it means. That's what this step would be. And then we got a negative declaration. There's not going to be any significant not one significant environmental impact of any kind or human health impact. We got a notice of completed application. We got a draft permit issued. There was a brief public comment period. They issued the final permit. The end. We're at the end. And now we're going to get an incinerator. There's a couple more local permits that need to happen, despite what the mayor's been saying. The mayor's been talking gobbledygook. So this is what we got. This is what we got. This was the SEQR process that Endicott was given by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Okay? This is what they gave us. They were in complete control. We didn't have any input except for right here, the public comment period, and they didn't really pay any attention to us. That the substantive issues that we raised were completely ignored, like the zoning issue. Completely ignored it. And we're going to see that this zoning issue was really front and center to this whole thing. This zoning issue was such a huge deal. We're going to take you through this, friends. It looks daunting, but you're going to see. This is what we got. You got that in your mind? Do you see what that shape is? Do you see that process that we got? So now let's look at the yellow over here. Okay? Let's zoom in on that last little section here and see if we can figure out. See, what normally they're supposed to do is once the draft permit gets issued and there's a public comment period, well, what's the point? Are the mics turned on? Well, okay, let's assume the mics are turned on and somebody is listening. What could possibly be the outcome? There should be some kind of a possible physical outcome of the public comment period. It should have some effect. Otherwise, if it's never going to have any effect somehow, then why do it? It's just a charade. So it just makes sense that what the best possible result of the public comment period is that they modify the permit conditions based on what they heard, and then they go back for an additional public comment period, and then you kind of repeat. And it's probably just going to go chunk out. Just like it did last time. It's going to go chunk out. So this is what happened. The DEC said, oops. Even though the final permit has already been issued. It's kind of an extraordinary thing. It is kind of an extraordinary procedural thing. I mean, this is a little bit unusual. The final permit has already been issued. The DEC's taking it back. They're going, well, all right, look, okay. So you got us on the PFAS compounds. You got us on that. Okay. So What they're probably going to do is the modification of the permit conditions. What they're going to do is they're going to turn up the temperature. They're going to turn up the temperature. No problem. Got some PFAS. We're going to turn up the temperature. Yuri says that doesn't. I think that's what Yuri said. More temperature doesn't destroy it. It's still a problem because it's the fluorine ion. You can't destroy an ion, right? The ion's just an ion, and it's the fluorine that's highly reactive. So this is what we got. This is what the DEC gave us. This is what everybody, No Burn Broom, is going, yay, we're gonna kill it now. Look at what we got. No Burn Broom is saying, stop the press. DEC delivers setback. A dramatic development took place yesterday, which may derail the Sungeel battery recycling project in Endicott.
Oh, I don't think so.
This is the No Burn Broom group, okay? There's multiple groups. There's a lot of groups. There's several groups. No Burn Broom is not the only group, okay? They've done super fabulous. They've done a lot of super good work. I have no problems with 95% of what No Burn Broom does. It's awesome. No Burn Broom, I got to be careful. I love the people. They've done so much good work, but with this, they're cockeyed because this is nothing at all. This is what they originally gave us. And now this is what we got because of the PFAS cock-up. This is what we had. This is what we got. Boink to boink. Boink to boink. That's what we had. This is what we got. Well, what's the problem with that, Bill? That looks like a good thing, right? It's a good thing. Bill, you're so negative. Who am I impersonating there? You're so negative. Negative. Bill, you're so negative. Somebody talks like that, and they're the ones that are negative. I'm just being realistic, okay? I'm being pragmatic. I'm just talking about reality. This is what the DEC gave us. This is they gave us a little piece of kibble. It's like, here's your little kibble. Oh, yeah, and in fact, a discussion of chemistry right now, PFOS or whatever, nanoparticles, a discussion of chemistry now is inappropriate. It's not appropriate. No Burn Broom is focused on the science and focused on the chemistry. But what they're not focused in on is the legal process. That's what I'm focused on. And I'm going to show you what's going on here. And you're going to see in a minute that this is like da 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 da. But it's like, let's have parades, man. We're gonna have parades because the DEC kicked it back one step, gave us a little bit extra, comment period just on the PFAS stuff, just on the temperature increase. That's what they're going to do. They're going to turn up the temperature on the rotary kiln or the afterburner. That's what you can comment on. But I want to comment on my grandkids that have rare cancers. Like, nope. It's like, we're not listening to all the stuff about we care about your kids, but the only thing that's on topic is PFAS. And how we're going to nuke them. How we're going to nuke the PFAS. And by the way, it's a really complicated tracking, and it's all the honor system. It's like documentation that you get from the battery manufacturer. Guess what? Maybe what happens if the battery manufacturer didn't keep good documentation of the chemistry? Are we going to make sure a process that's in place that prevents Sungeel from dumping some kind of unknown material into the rotary kiln? How do we know they're not going to just be incinerating any old thing? In fact, that's what's happened at Cohoes. At the Cohoes, I hope I'm saying that right, incinerator that Yuri was talking about in the chat, they were burning random stuff. They were burning just hazardous waste. They had an incinerator there that they were using for some kind of, recycling or smelting operation, and then they started burning other stuff. So, what's the problem with this, Bill? The problem is that the problem is back here. Everybody's looking at this little, oh boy, we kicked it back one step, yay, yay. It's like, and there was much rejoicing. Paul Connett says he knows John Cleese. He went to school with him at Cambridge, right? Did I get that right? The problem, friends. God bless you, Paul Connett. God bless you, Ellen Connett. God bless everybody that's associated with No Burn Broom. But you got to know something. If you're playing around with something that's rooted in fraud. Let's not say fraud. We can't prove fraud, but let's say a major goof up. If you're playing with a thing that is rooted in a major F up. I said F. It's like an F up. You know what an F up is? It's just not necessarily the best thing to do, to be playing with a process that's rooted in fraud. We have to challenge a process that's rooted in fraud. You don't play along with it. If you play along with a process that's rooted in fraud, you enable it. You give consent to it. So let's explain what this is. Let's go in depth. Bill, you're saying it's an unlisted action. Are you saying it should have been a type 1 action? Yes, it should have. Yes, it should have been a type 1 action. Yes, it should have. Well, why is that? Everybody's focused over here, but that's where the problem is. Bam. That's what we should have gotten. This is what we got. This right here is what the DEC gave us. And this is what we should have gotten. See that? It's kind of a different thing, right? It's kind of a different path. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's start up here. And this is so key, friends. This is so key. I'm going to try not to shout. I appreciate young Jessica Kislick for putting up with my bad energy. Okay, this is it. So, the mayor has consistently stated over and over and over and over and over and over in many different media, emails, social media, Facebook, in person, phone calls, talking to the news media, over and over and over and over, the mayor has repeated statements that are demonstrably false. I don't know why, whether she was bribed or threatened or she's just bonkers. But her statements are demonstrably false, and this is simply stating a fact. I'm not saying I don't like her as a person. I'm not saying she's not a good person. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying the stuff coming out of her mouth, and it's a really high volume stream of gobbledygook. And the news media are reporting that. They're printing it uncritically and sometimes without counterpoint. Sometimes they have counterpoint. A lot of times they don't. So, the mayor, one of the things that the mayor has said over and over again is that the zoning change has nothing to do with the facility, whether it comes or goes. And by the way, the village never had any say in this. The DEC solely made the decision, and they made it months ago. And she uses all kinds of different dates about when it was October, it was December, it was January. Every time it's something different. Here's a fact. According to, should we look up the actual code? 6 NYCRR 617.4, official compilation of codes, rules. This is the code. New York Code, RR, something regulations, okay? This is all about Type 1 seeker actions, okay? Type 1 seeker actions. And here's what it says. The following actions are Type 1. It's required by law that an action is a Type 1 action if it requires the adoption of changes in the allowable uses within any zoning district affecting 25 or more acres of the district. Okay? If your proposed action requires a zoning change that impacts more than 25 acres, like 560 acres, that's the size of the industrial zone in Endicott, 560 acres, then it's automatically a Type 1 seeker. Okay? So, let's go back and look at our chart. There was a required zoning change. What the mayor was saying is complete nonsense. That the zoning change had nothing to do with anything. Look right there. This was at the very beginning. The DEC misclassified this action. God bless you, Jessica Kislick, for saying this. This is super important.
Other activists like William Huston are saying the permit was misclassified to begin with and the DEC should start over.
I'm so glad that somebody in the official news media mentioned this. This thing was misclassified as an unlisted seeker. It should have been a Type 1. Well, what do you get if you get a Type 1 seeker? Well, you get a full EAF form. It's a longer form. Whoop-de-doo. Here's a big one. You get a coordinated review. And let's talk about sometime the coordinated review that was from the Fenton Bomb Trucks Terminal. Okay? There were 6 coordinating agencies. It was 37 pages, and one of the cooperating agencies was the school district, Shenango Valley, and they said, we don't like the idea. We think it's a bad idea. They gave a negative review. And that was the beginning of the end for NG Advantage in the town of Fenton. So they never did the DEC never did a coordinated review because, let's go back, let's get the big picture now. The red snake is what they gave us, and the green snake is what they should have given us, okay? The red snake, unlisted action, there's no way to get up here. There's no way to get to a coordinated review. Well, there's an option. Guess how many times that path is taken. It sure didn't happen here. So there is a way to get up to coordinated review, but there's no option if you're a Type 1 seeker action. You're going to get a coordinated review. And guess what's going to happen if you contact Seton Catholic in Endicott? The school district. There's 2. There's Seton Catholic and there's Union Endicott Central School District. There's an opportunity to talk to the town of Union, Town of Vestal, Department of Health, Department of Transportation, Broome County EMS. That's the kind of things, those are the kind of agencies that you get to talk to during a coordinated review. And I just want to say one more time, the coordinated review, I want to make sure you get this because this is super important. In the case of Fenton was a win for the people. They kicked out NG Advantage, okay? In Fenton, one of the cooperating agencies In the coordinated review, they did it correctly in Fenton for the facility, not for the zoning change, for the facility. They did a coordinated review, a 239M review. One of the agencies was the school district, Shenango Valley School District, and they said, "Niet." The school district said no. The planning board ignored it, and I'm a little fuzzy on the exact details here, but the planning board basically ignored the 239 review and passed some kind of variance or something like that. There were two lawsuits. Claudia Bramer was one. Claudia Bramer represents No Burn Broom. So there's a lot of parallels to Fenton here. It's very interesting, I think. And then the other attorney in Fenton was Maeve Tour. Maeve Tour represented the school district. Claudia Bramer represented a community group, some citizens. Maeve Tour ended up representing the school district. The school district, their lawsuit contained a prayer for relief in the terms of a temporary restraining order based on a clear and present danger and based on irreparable harm. Clear and present danger and irreparable harm. And they got a TRO. NG Advantage had to stop work. And there was a couple of different back and forth, but basically they withdrew the permit and they ran to Pennsylvania, where you can get whatever you want. The point is, the coordinated review is hugely important to just not give us, because you effed up when you misclassified the action from the get-go, from the beginning. And these guys are smart. They're all professionals. The code, the Endicott code, is online. It takes you about 8 seconds with Google to find it, and you can verify this. So we should have gotten a positive declaration, because a positive declaration is easy to show. You just got to show one impact. There's lots of impacts, potential impacts. And then you go to scoping. And guess what? You get a public hearing when you go to scoping. And then they prepare a draft environmental impact statement. You get another public hearing. And then there's public comment. You're probably going to get another public hearing when you go to the final EIS, and then another public hearing when the actual permit is issued. So you get likely 4 public hearings whenever you take the type 1 seeker. And none of this stuff is guaranteed. There's a lot of dotted lines. There's a lot of discretionary loops and things here. But this is basically what we should get. It's what we should get. It's what we deserve. We want the gold standard for Endicott. Endicott, considering the toxic contamination that we've had here, Endicott should get the gold standard. And that is follow the law, give us the highest standard of environmental review, which is following the law. Because if you follow the law, it's an automatic type 1 seeker action. Because of the zoning issue. Zoning is police powers. Zoning is to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the people. They ran over Endicott local law, our zoning law. The DEC did, Albany did. They ran over our fence. Zoning is like a fence. They ran over it with a bulldozer. That's what they did. Be sure to hit the like button, friends. Thumbs up this video and share it out, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the Bill Huston podcast on YouTube. Click on the bell and select all notifications. And please donate if you can to support my work. Donations in any amount are greatly appreciated.